Hi guys, it's Lanikia and I am coming to you with season 1, episode 1. It's the pilot episode and it's a TV show called Manifest. It comes on NBC and I'm a little behind. But I'm going to try to catch up this week on it to get up to date so that for next week I can give you the night or the next day after it drops, because I watch it on Hulu, because y'all know, most of you know I don't have like traditional TV, so I watch it on Hulu and everything, and I'm really liking it. So it's called Manifest. So we get into it, and it's about it starts off with a family. It shows this family, and the two people that we need to pay attention to are Michaela and Ben, who are brothers and sisters. And Michaela, something has happened. We kind of get clues throughout the telling of the story. Something has happened. She's engaged to Jared, but she's not quite ready to commit, or she's afraid of commitment. So her mother is trying to tell her, it's okay to be happy. Go ahead and commit to him. He'll make you happy. It'll be a good life for you and everything. And then, so it's her mother and her father. They're all at this airport together. And Ben is her brother, and he is with his wife, and he has twins. I think her name is Olive, and the son Cal. And we find out that Cal is sick. He has a cancer. He has cancer. So they're thinking about, how they'll be able to pay for it and everything. So then we find that they come over the intercom at the airport, and they say, hey, if you're willing to take a later flight, you can, we'll pay you $400 and you can take a later flight or whatever. So Ben is like, well, that's easy money. Like, that's $400 a piece. That's easy, like, money. We could really use that money. And the wife is like, let's just get on this one flight. But Michaela's like, hey, I'll go. And so Cal, the little boy, he wanted to go with his dad, so he said, I'll stay. So that's $800 for them, and then Michaela would have $400 or whatever. So they decide to get on this flight. So it shows like the parents and the the parents and Ben's wife and his daughter, one of the twin daughter. She goes ahead and gets on the flight, and so then Ben and Michaela's flight comes, and they get on. So we get to see a look around or whatever, and they're going on the flight, and it's going smooth. Nothing's happening, nothing's bad going on with the flight. Everything is going just fine. So then they run into turbulence, and it's really bad, because one lady, who we later learn is Sanvi, she was actually on her laptop doing her research, trying to turn in research that she had been working on, because we find out she's a medical student, I guess at the time. So she was trying to turn in her research and everything. So she got to turn it in. But anyways, it's just showing you how chaotic, like how bad the turbulence was. Like, they literally thought they were gonna die. So the flight attendant comes back on, and he's like, smooth sailing from here. And so he tries to report in to say, hey, let me use your dock. So I'm assuming they call it. I can't remember. I've never flown. I want to, but I've never flown, so I don't know. But he's like, let me use your port so I can land this plane. And they're like, who is this? What flight? And you could tell that something was going on or whatever. So they let him land or whatever, but it's not where they were supposed to land. It's like diverted a little bit. So they land in New York and everything, and so they get off the flight, and they're like, whoa, it's a lot of police officers and everything around them. And so once they get off the flight, they're like questioning the pilot, and they're like, who, where have you, like, what else happened? And he's like, we got on the flight, we landed, like, I called in and we were supposed to land. And they were like, sir, and Michaela's like, what is going on? Like, why are all these police officers here? Because she's like, what is going on? And they were like, you left on April the, hold on, y'all, I got my notes. You left on April the, Well, I guess my note's not gonna work. Anyways, they left on like April 7th, 2013, and now it is November the 4th, 2018. Shout out to November the 4th, my mama's birthday. But November the 4th, 2018. And they're like, what? Excuse me? So then they start they try to do their research to find out what happened with the people, and everyone has the same story. Like, we got on the flight and we landed. Like, there was nothing, there was no in between. So then we get to the part where so they pretty much all have the same story. They got on the flight, they landed. There is no April in between with any of it. April 7th, 2013. And so then there is a man and a woman. I don't know their names, I can't remember, but they're trying to they're like investigating, and they're like, and the woman is like, listen, like, everyone has the same story. Like, everyone has the same story, so it's not like they were off doing something. But it's been 5 years, so they don't understand. And of course the passengers don't understand, because they're like, y'all are looking at us like we know something, and we don't know anything. All we know is we got on the flight, and no time has passed for them. So then they finally let the family come. So the family start coming in, they're hugging and they're grabbing on their people. They're so happy to see them. And we see Ben's wife. She comes running through, and then, they hug her. The dad comes through, and then we see Ben look, and the wife is like, oh my God, Cal, how have you not aged? Because he's the same age. Because for them, none of them aged. And that was one thing that the lady that's investigating, she told the man, she was like, no one has aged, like, not one single day. They are exactly the same. So whatever went on, we can't explain it. So anyways, Ben's wife is like, oh my gosh, Cal, I can't believe it. You're this young, you didn't age, you're still the same and everything. And then Ben looks and he sees his daughter, who's grown up. Even though they're twins, she's now grown up, because it's been 5 years, so she's like a teenager now and everything. And then we see Michaela's hugged by her dad, and she's like, where's Jared? And he's like, oh, he had to work, which was an alarm bell right there, because if you haven't been seeing your fiance in 5 years, why wouldn't you be there to greet them? She was like, he had to work and all of that kind of stuff. And I don't know, I was like, well, that's just weird. So then she asks about mom, and we find out that the mom, she tried to fight, but there was no hope for I guess it sounds like they're saying that she probably died of a broken heart. So that was that. So then we go to so they go home. So then they go to Michaela. Everyone goes home, and and they see the pillow. They see a pillow. Michaela sees a pillow, and it's Romans 8:38, 8 and 38. And Ben's wife, Michaela's sister-in-law, is just like, something has happened, and they're not. I guess we'll find out as the series goes. And so something has happened, and she tells, Ben's wife tells Michaela all is forgotten. She's just so happy that they're alive. This is a miracle, for them. And just that. So whatever it was that went on that caused turbulence between them, she's just going to let that go, and they're going to start fresh or whatever. So then she goes, so they go and get, so then Michaela, we find out, is a police officer, because the next scene we see her going to the police station, and they're telling her that she's going to be on desk duty. And so she looks and she sees Jared. Now, mind you, earlier she had tried to call him and it went to voicemail. So she looks and she sees Jared, and she goes outside, and she's pretty much like, what's up? It's been 5 years. He could have tried to, like, you're not that busy at work. And he said, oh, I'm a lead detective, and I've been working this missing persons case with these 2 people. And she's like, wow, detective. And he was like, a lot of time has passed. And so she looks down and she sees he has on a wedding ring now. And she was like, oh, okay. Who's the lucky lady or whatever. And she finds out that he married, I think the woman name is Loris. She finds out that's her best friend. And she was like, oh, that figures, because she always said how lucky I was. Y'all know it'd be the best friends sometimes. So he said he waited 2 years. But I don't know, 2 years isn't long. Like, okay, you waited 2 years. Okay, you waited 2 years, and I get that, but don't be marrying my best friend. Like, that's, I don't care if you think I'm dead, or even if you know for sure that I'm dead. Like, that's, no, don't marry my best friend. Like, there's too many other women out here for you to go and marry my best friend. That's just how I feel. Y'all tell me what you think. So anyways, so then we go to Cal, who is being treated for, his cancer, and there's a new research that's been done that's been curing, the cancer that he has, that's been helping it. So they're saying that they're going to try to get him on the list and everything. So they're excited about that. So then, as Michaela is getting on the bus and she's trying to go home and everything, she hears a voice in her head, which is her own voice, and it says, slow down. And she asks the driver of the bus, hey, can you slow down? And he's like, hey, I don't come to your job and do, your job and tell you how to do your job or whatever. I don't come to your work and tell you how to do your job. But the voice is so insistent, and she's like, stop, slow down. And so he brakes. And as he's braking, a little boy runs out for a ball. And so if he had not slowed down, that little boy would have been killed. And so the bus driver is like, how did you see that? Like, how did you see this little boy? And so then she goes to her brother, and she's asking her brother, like, hey, have you been hearing voice? Like, has your mind been playing tricks on you? And he's like, no. And he says, well, I think you're crazy. You sound crazy. And he's just pretty much telling her, don't be around here telling people that, because they'll think you're crazy, and the government is not just going to let us go. You think they're going to let us go because, oh, you guys are back and everything is good? And he's like, no, they're going to be trying to find answers. And if they find out something weird is going on with you, they're going to be trying to put you in a hospital, to research her mind, to study her brain and everything. So he was like, I just chill out or whatever. So anyways, then we go to a young woman, who we later find out, her name is, Sanvi. So her parents have her blindfolded, and she comes into the medical field, and everyone is there, and they're happy to have her back. And it turns out that her research that she was thinking that didn't get to go through on the airplane because her laptop was dropped and it had a crack in it, actually did go through. And that's the treatment that Cal is needing, because that's the treatment that will help him survive. And it was her research that found, that put that treatment into place, and everything. So because of her, all these children's lives have been saved. And so that's just that story right there, as far as right at that moment. So Michaela went back. Okay, so Michaela was running, and she sees she hears a voice telling her, let these dogs out because the dogs are barking, and she said, set them free. And she had heard that earlier that day, but she ignored the voice. Like, she kept running. So as she was sleeping, the voice was so persistent that she got up and she went back to the place. And as she was there, Ben drove up, and she was like, what are you doing here? Like, how did you know to come here? And then she was like, you made me think I was crazy, but apparently he's been hearing these voices as well. So they set the dogs free, and they thought they were just setting the dogs free, so they set the dogs free. So they find out, like, one of the detectives shows Jared, who's Michaela's husband. I don't know if I said his name earlier. That's Michaela's ex-fiance that's married to her best friend now. They showed him, and so he said he'll take care of it. So he goes to Michaela, and he tries to explain to her, like, what is going on, and she tells him she can't tell him because she doesn't want people to look at her like she's crazy. So she can't tell him. So he says, we'll fix it or whatever. So they go. Okay, so he just said, we'll fix it. And then he's like, are you doing this because of me? And she was like, that's a typical man thinking everything is about you. Like, she was like, how about the fact that I lost my mom? How about the fact that I feel guilty because somebody died in her passenger seat? I think she said Eden or something. So something has happened that they haven't told us. Again, so she was like, so I feel guilty about that. How about, I don't have anything. I don't have any worldly possessions. Like, I don't have a phone. I have nothing or whatever. She's, even though it's been 2 days for her, it's like she's starting over from scratch, because the world has moved on in those 5 years. And so then she was like, and you didn't even, like, show any condolence or remorse or tell me anything about my mom or whatever. So he hugs her and he tells her, you still take, no, that's later on, y'all. So anyways, then he hugs her and everything, and he's just, I don't know, he's just like realizing that it's much more than just about him. So anyways, then we go to Ben, who goes and watches his daughter play practice soccer, and she's like, what are you doing here? Parents don't usually come, and he was like, I got time to make up. And he pretty much apologizes to her for when the time he was there, that it was all about Cal because Cal was so sick, and he wants to just be in a great relationship with her. So she gives him a hug, and it's all good from there. So then Ben, so it's all good from there. They're going to try to build on their relationship. So then we see Sanvi is in like this meeting, and she was like, how many, she asked the young lady sitting next to her, like, how many people? And this girl was like, oh, we treat people all the time, like children all the time, for your research that you did or whatever. So they put these children up, and it was a little boy, and Sanvi recognizes him because he was on the plane, and of course she has a connection to that. And they don't want to treat him because they said he's outside of the years. Even though it's not his fault he's outside of the years, they don't want to treat him or whatever. And we find out it's because they have such a high percentage rate of cures right now with what her research and the medicine they put into place and everything. The pharmaceutical companies are knocking, and they can make a lot of money, and they don't want to put him up there and he die or get sick and they say, well, he was treated with that or whatever and it didn't work. They want to keep their numbers of successes high. And so somebody was like, oh, no, he's going to get treated because she feels a connection, so she makes them treat him, which she was like, I don't care about the money, which at one point she might have cared about the money, even though I think she was in like the beginning stages of her doctoring. But now that that's happened to her and she feels a connection to him, she was like, I don't care if you guys, lose money or whatever. I think he's supposed to be here so that I can cure him. That's why I was sent back, and that's why he was sent back or whatever. So that's that with them. And then he does end up going and getting to be able to going to get to have the treatment and everything. So I'll just finish that storyline. So then we see Cal getting treatment, and we see Ben there, and his wife gets a text, and when they're at the hospital while Cal's getting treatment, and she kind of puts her phone in her purse, and Ben sees it, but it's like, I guess it didn't click to him what was happening, and I was like, it's been 5 years. She thought it was dead, so we don't know what she's been, she could have been dating someone, which we later on find out that that's exactly what it is, because they're all around the kitchen table. It's Cal, his wife, and I can't remember the woman's name. Cal the son, Olive the daughter, Ben the husband, and then the wife. And so they're playing this game or whatever, and the wife gets up and she gets these text messages, and this person is like, I miss you, have you told him? She said, I need more time. And the daughter looks and she sees it because she gets up as well, and she's like, what are you gonna do? And they just like hug and everything. I'm like, ma'am, you need to tell him what's going on, like, because I think she might have been in this great relationship. She might even be married, who knows? But she's looking at this like, I have a second chance to have my family, and maybe this is because she feels like it's bigger than them, because she blamed Ben at first for getting on that plane, and then for making Cal feel like he wanted Ben's attention so much he got on the plane. But now she realizes that if Cal had not gotten on that plane with Ben, then Cal would be dead, because he only had like 6 months to live. So she just feels like it's bigger. So even if she's in a relationship now, I guess that's the conflict, where she feels like, well, maybe I'm supposed to have my family, because they came back to her. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm like, well, I don't know if I like that storyline, because it's like, you already got Michaela with Jared. You know what I mean? You already had Michaela with Jared, and Jared ended up marrying her best friend. So I don't know. Y'all tell me what you think. So then we go to so Jared gets back with Michaela, and he's like, we're going to fix this so you can still have your career and everything. So we're going to give this man his dogs back. Excuse me, my sinus. We're going to give this man his dog back, and you're going to apologize and all that. So Jared goes in and, try to sweet talk the owner of the place. And Michaela is hearing these voices continue to say, set them free, set them free. And they're like pounding in her head. And she looks and she sees that it's 828 is the building number, and that reminds her of the Bible scripture her mother had, as well as the number of the plane, 828. So she goes around and she starts looking, and the dogs are just sitting there in front of this door. And so something tells her just to start get inside the room. So as she's breaking the door down, Jared is in there sweet talking the owner, and the owner is like, no, I don't want anybody to go to jail and yada yada yada. He's cool with he doesn't care who, as long as he got his dogs back and all that kind of stuff. Well, I guess they're coming outside because they were coming outside, and the owner is like, hey, what are you doing? Just as Michaela opened the door, and she sees little girls inside, and then she says, Jared, and he ducks because the owner had taken a bat. The owner of the building, the warehouse where the dogs were that they had set free earlier, he had taken like a not a bat, but like a rod, and was about to lay Jared out, but Jared ducked, and then he handcuffed him. So you remember earlier that Jared said he was working on an investigation about 2 missing girls, and those are the 2 missing girls he was I guess he was looking for. They found them, and that's where they were. So yeah, so then Jared, so they do all this or whatever, and they're reinstating Michaela because they were going to put her on desk duty, but now they're like, oh, you ready for the field or whatever, to get it back in the field or whatever. So then Jared comes, and he's like, so you're not going to tell me like how you knew? And she was like, no, I can't tell you. And he says some kind of line about, you still take my breath away. And she was like, tell Loris I said hi. Like, you're whole married now. Like, even if she did still take your breath away, I mean, I understand it's been 5 years, but you moved on. Like, you moved on. And I know you're shocked to see her, but like, don't be like that. So then Michaela goes to the church, and she felt this urge to go to the church or whatever. So she's talking to the pastor, and then the pastor tells her, oh, your ride's here, and it's Ben. And she was like, how did you know I was going to be here? And he was like, I just knew. And she was like, out of this whole thing, why the 2 of us? Like, why is this happening to us? And he said, who's to say it's just happening to us? So then we go and we see all of these people who have been on the flight, and I want to say it was quite a few of them. All these people who have been on the flight, we see where they're all getting these intense voices, and they all meet up at the plane. Now, earlier at the plane, the 2 detectives who are investigating it, the man and the woman, had said, we're not finding anything wrong, like any signs wrong or anything. But he was telling her, well, we're gonna look this plane over because we're gonna find something. There's got to be something. So then, so they went away. But anyways, so the voices are telling these people to meet at the plane. So they're all looking around like, what is going on? And the plane just explodes in front of them. And as the plane is exploding, the only person that didn't go to the plane was Cal, because he's a little boy. But his eyes pop open, and they're just like, whatever happened with that plane, or whatever they could have found, information they could have found, I guess the plane didn't want it to be found. They didn't want that investigation on them, and it destructed, because there was nothing around to make the plane explode. So they're all just like, what? They don't know what it is. They don't know what's going on, what happened, and so that was the end of it. And that was season 1, episode 1 of Manifest. And I liked the show. I'm not gonna even lie, the ending kind of freaked me out a little bit. I don't know why, but it did. It kind of freaked me out a little bit. And even just talking about it now, I was kind of like, scary. It was like scary. Like some entity doesn't want to be found, and it's exploding. or whatever. But anyways, so that was it. I'm gonna try to do like a video every day until I get caught up. Like watch an episode every day until, and then do the video until I get caught up, because I'm actually behind on a few things. Like I love this time of year because like I want to do videos over This Is Us. I love them. I want to do videos over A Million Little Things. Have y'all watched that? I Am a Psycho, because I love James Roday. You know, I loved Dule Hill when they were in Psych, and so I like when they do other stuff, I try to support it. And I like A Million Little Things, so I want to do a video over that. And the only other show I want to do a video over is I think it was called New Amsterdam, because it looked pretty good. So these are the only 4 that I'll probably do videos over this this fall, spring. But I love this time of year because it's always like you're exploring new shows, trying to see what's, you know, what you can watch. So y'all tell me, what are you guys watching? If it's not one of these, like what's one that you would recommend? Maybe I probably won't do a video of it, but I would check it out, especially if it comes on Hulu or whatever, because you know CBS don't really put their shows on Hulu, but NBC, Fox, and ABC they do. So I usually get to, you know, stay up to date on those, even though I have to watch them like the next day. I'm cool with that or whatever, because y'all still get to be up to date. So anyways, y'all, that was it. Y'all tell me what you think. That was more of a recap than review. I guess the review part was that I like it. I think it's an interesting show. I hope it's not like one of those. I hope it's not like a Lost. Like in the end, like I hope it's not like that, because I would be disappointed, like to get so invested and then it be like that. So I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it, and I can't wait to see the next few episodes. The next, you know, over the next few days, and to do videos and see what y'all think if y'all are watching this one. All right, have a great night. Talk to you tomorrow.